will call the meeting to start the thing. Okay, attendance appointments of alternates. We are missing one member, but we're also missing our alternate. They're at another meeting tonight, so. But we do have a quorum, so we're good for to go for the meeting. We have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second? I'll second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, February 19th?
Make a motion to approve the regular meetings of February 19th.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public participation, I think we're gonna have a lot tonight. None. Any communications? I have none. I don't know.
I have none.
Okay, that moves us down to the monthly reports. Go ahead, Amy.
All right, let's see. Revenue, I don't think there's anything different that we don't know. We've gotten half of ECS. We got 25% in October, 25% in February. We've got all of Town Aid Road. We've gotten a third of Pequot. We got motor vehicle tax cap, which I don't budget for because it's already budgeted in the tax numbers below. And we've gotten all of our state pilot. Taxes, we are 98.6% collected after the second payments. Overall, we're 99.6 because prior year are over budget by 312,000 and interest and liens is over by 87. Interest income in the treasurer's budget is $371,000, which is $121,000 over budget. I don't think we have anything else. Town clerk, I think, is a little slow. They're only at 52%, but it's normally slow in the winter time. Planning, I don't think there's anything in there. Police, nothing in there. Buildings a little bit behind. They brought in 275 out of 124, but no big projects. Except somebody just told us there's a permit in for a 28 housing subdivision on Thrall and Chamberlain this morning in staff meeting. But it's gonna be right next to the 31 Thrall solar farm, so hopefully the builder is gonna let people know that they're gonna live next to a solar farm, which has broke ground also. Nothing in public works, nothing in senior services, and nothing in park and rec. Anybody have any questions on revenue?
Yeah, I had a couple, like I said, it maybe it's just it falls because we're almost 75% of the year, and the people at 33, is that? Or,
Yes, that's normal.
Okay.
Pequot, we get in 3 installments, and the very last one comes in June.
either like,
Probably maybe in March or April, and then the last one's in June.
and the only one, just, again, it's small, but it just, the Greater Harbor Transit District is only 26%, it's like $5,000 or $6,000, but I mean, we run buses all over the place.
Yep, I don't know how that one comes in.
Okay.
I'll have to look into that
I
one.
mean, it's not a ton of money, but it,
We're not expecting it not to come in,
okay,
so I'm guessing it's just the way it comes to us.
yeah, I think this is, like I said, it's small.
It doesn't, it actually, I don't think has anything to do with our actual transportation.
Oh, good,
It's just because we run transportation, because we pay for all the costs
Yeah.
in the social services budget or senior service budget. And they take in under their dial-a-ride fees that they charge people is part of that same budget, but in their pickup fees.
and a couple expenses, but, I'll let you go over them first. Oh,
All right, so expenses. We'll talk about the ones that we are doing transfers on because those are probably the most significant changes. But nothing in selectments, nothing in arts and culture. Selectmen is going to be over in leased equipment. They're having a problem. They're actually charging the copy fees I was trying to do an analysis to figure out where we were gonna be at the end of this year, and I couldn't figure it out because I only had so many payments of $500 and so many payments of $183. I'm like, why aren't these like 12 payments? And then I found out that the copy costs are added each quarter, and that $500 bill goes to 2,000 and change. So I said, we need to talk about that. It really needs to be out of like the computer supply, like the printer and toner versus the lease. The lease really should be the only thing in leased equipment versus the extra copy cost. So we are working on that to get that straightened out. Assessor, I think I have another request in there for another $1,000. I think you guys will remember you did 2,600 for a personal property audit for Connecticut Water for court. Well, now we got to pay $100 for the auditor to show up in court. So we paid him $26.25 to do it, and now we got to pay him $1,000 to come to court. And there's a couple of really big ones. I think there's appraisals for $16,000 tied to the Windsor Show Stables. And there's, I think, 5 Southern Auto properties that are in court too, that they're gonna want some kind of appraisals on. So there's a debate about how those should be paid for. Unfortunately, we don't have any money left in the valuation because we did the second reval out of the same period of time. So there's no money over there to cover costs related to the court cases. And you'll see that in legal when we get to legal too. It's a big chunk of the number of what's happening with our legal fees. All right, tax collector is going to be on the low side because we don't have a tax collector. If anybody knows anybody with any kind of tax collecting experience, we could use a tax collector. The poor assessor has been pitch hitting. Legal, we ended up having $75,000 came in the month of March, or in the month of February. So we actually went negative. We do have a reimbursement coming back from the settlement of the Von Hollander case for the road. So we do have money coming back in, but I am looking for a transfer for those accounts because we will not have enough to make it through the year on either one of those lines. Okay, activities and fees, we're gonna have to come later for probate eventually, but we don't know what that number is. So, but that, knowing we paid $13.79 for 6 months, I know $720 is not gonna be enough for the second 6 months. Health district, that's already 75% paid, so that's a good number. Recognition, the bulk of that is all done. Domestic violence just hasn't asked for it yet. Same with the Melrose School. On the UR Community Cares, I'm not sure we're gonna do because it was about, you need to have both a resident interested in getting the services and a volunteer interested in providing them. And I don't think they've come up with 2 people from East Windsor that want to do both parts. And we told them we'd give them the money as soon as it's supposed to cover background checks. But we told them we'd give them the money as soon as they got somebody in the program. So. IT, he assures me we will be fine, even though we're already 93% spent. Clerk, there's nothing. Register of voters, they're gonna have a surplus in their election workers. We have spent $37,000 out of the adjusted budget of 52 because we moved a bunch to part-time. I think the part-time, we have moved $8,500, and we're still gonna have a surplus in the election workers. And those are them being employees because the IRS said they had to be employees. Let's see, planning, legal, like I said, we're gonna be really far off, but planning's okay. None of the boards, property insurance is gonna be okay. We're over in deductible, but there should be enough left over in the actual policy to cover the deductible. But we have 2 or 3 cases where we're on the hook for the first $5,000, but they're charging us as the bills happen. So we might get $100 this month or $400 next month. So I'm charging them to deductibles as they come in. EDC, we actually have a commission now, so we'll start to see some of that get spent. Police are going to be very tight by the time they get to the end of the year. They're already out of overtime by $25,000, and they're not going to have significant savings in either their office's salary or the dispatch salaries because they're fully staffed. So there won't be a significant saving there to offset the overage in overtime. Hopefully overtime will come down. Chief told me this morning that the last set was only 9,000 for the 2 weeks, and some of them had been 35,000 prior to that. And that's truly just overtime, doesn't count private duty. Private duty is charged somewhere else.
Why so much overtime then if we are fully staffed?
Well, unfortunately, we have somebody on light duty. We had 2 in the academy earlier in the year.
At the academy.
And now they're coming off FTO, but then once they get out of the academy, then they got to spend a bunch of months riding with somebody else. So what you would normally pay one person for, you're paying 2 people for, and still not covering your numbers because they don't count as a second. They're not the second guy on the shift. They're the second guy with the first guy, but they're not the second guy on the shift. So, and minimum staffing is 2 on all the shifts. 2 patrol and 1 sergeant. Vehicle maintenance, they're already over. He expects to not have significant difference. They had a lot of vehicle problems in the beginning of the year. They had a couple accidents that put cruisers out. So then we had to use old cars. Well, those old cars break down because they have too many miles on them. Let's see, emergency management is good. Building is good. We might have, good news on 20 North Road. They've asked for final inspections for 55 and over.
Yep.
Has a new name. I don't know what it's called now, but
Yeah, Community 55 or something.
yeah. So,
Is it new owners or same owners?
it has changed hands multiple times, at least who's putting the money in. And the guy assured the building official that he was going to spend the money to get it done. So it's still Calimer, but the people behind it have changed multiple times. And they've stopped and restarted a whole bunch of times.
Multiple.
So Ken said he wasn't going out there until they told him they were really done and he would do a final inspection. But zoning already got, wanting a sign off. And of course, they haven't done any of the planting stuff.
No.
So that stuff will have to be contingent on fixing the rest of that stuff. Communications is good, public works is good. They'll have a little bit of a savings. They have a vacancy currently. Properties, some of them are gonna be a little tight. Better than we want. For an improvement, he'll suspend it all. Sanitation, we should be okay. That's usually one I have to come ask you for. Senior services, we should be okay. Those guys are all busy getting packed and purged for the move. Community center looks phenomenal. And with the opening sometime at the end of May, the beginning of June, with a public thing sometime in June. Ribbon cutting. Social services is okay. They're over in evictions and ejections, but they have plenty of money in general assistance. And libraries all have been paid out. And Park and Rec is nothing in there. So I think there's nothing else. Debt service, obviously, we still have payments to make, but our total will be about $475,000 or something like that. So the rest will be extra in there, which is where my legal is coming from in my transfers. Capital, we haven't made any additional appropriations. The 1.2 is what was put in there in the budget. And we are okay in all our numbers for employee benefits. And we still have some non-negotiated wage to transfer. Contracts have not been settled yet. Well, that's where we are in expenditures. What were your questions?
You hit one of them with the deductibles. I mean, if you're over already and I didn't know.
We're gonna continue to be over. Yep.
Kind of explain that one a little bit. The other one was the police department, and we discussed that one. And the last one was actually in capital, the CIP.
Okay.
It was the community center, and I'm like, I said, you guys are close, but you're within I think it was $100,000 left.
Nope. So this is the part of the money we don't need because we got $2.7 million from the USDA. So when we put the 1.2 in there, we thought it was going to be $5 million and 80-20 split, but the 1.2 was supposed to cover our share. We used ARPA money. And we still had 1.2 in here, but we didn't need that 154 to match the USDA. So basically the ARPA money went in first, then our capital money went in, and now we're spending the USDA's 2.7 million. So as long as the USDA keeps paying as we pay, we should be okay.
So we're, like I said, our portion is pretty much done with.
Our portion is totally done. We were the first, 2 point something million in there.
All right. It's not, but I picked up.
I don't think there's anything else in CNR. And that will do it for me.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
Yep, so as far as the current fiscal year goes, obviously we're kind of gearing up at the end of the year. We're working right now on things for end of the year. Yeah, so weeks to figure out if there's any money to be saved as far as like supplies and equipment and things like that. So nothing to report at the moment. Hopefully I'll have projections for our board at the next meeting, kind of seeing where we are for the end of the year, and then just work on getting an accurate number.
Any questions? Or I had none. I looked through everything. Just to the transfer department.
And I did give you guys a chart about legal, and you can see tax appeals is 20% of what we spent so far. So the $300,000 we've been through this year, 20% of it was tax appeals. And Von Hollander, I think, was the next biggest at 13.
That one's gonna, we're getting money back on that one.
Yes.
You said there's 40 cases for tax appeals?
42. Yep. Everything over $1 million.
Right, so do I have a motion for transfer request number 26 for the assessor's office?
Make the motion for the thing. Services to interference in court for CT water.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion or any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 27 for the legal department.
Make a motion for transfer number 27, the legal in the amount of $75,000 from line principal to be moved to town council to transfer funds for overages and legal fees.
Do you have a second? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 28.
Make a motion for transfer number 28, legal, $25,000 from principal to labor law to transfer funds for overage and legal fees.
Second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. And the last one, number 29.
I'll make a motion for transfer number 29 for communication from, for $5,900 from contingencies to the radio systems to cover coverage and radio system for radio rentals and repairs.
Maybe you want to just give a brief on how we come to talk about that?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that one.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They're not over budget right now. But because we're still waiting for our new radio system, we're now paying to rent P25 radios for the police, and it's $600 and something a month. And then there was a fee associated with equipment for DPW to continue to work with the radios. We're still having radio issues, so this will not be the only transfer probably that I come forward for this because they were down 3 times in the beginning of March. So we're having radio issues. So, but this gets us our best guess of right now, what we need to get us through what we already know about between now and the end of the year.
And the new system is coming.
Slowly. I think tomorrow night, the $8 million grant or bond money that's coming relating to it, I think it's an Urban Act grant, is going to the Board of Selectmen for approval, the acceptance of it and the signing, Jay signing it and the resolution. But it's been a slow process. We're supposed to get an estimate Friday. But it involves the state, it involves Motorola, it involves the town of Windsor. It involves Jamie because she's trying to get coverage for Ellington. So there's a whole lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts tied to it. But it's supposed to expand the state system, and we're supposed to be part of the state system. But it gives them coverage out here that they wanted to have. It includes 2 cell towers, the one over on Prospect and then one over here on Cogut. So it will expand coverage on this side of town that we don't currently have.
So we're gonna be paying rental on these radios for a little while
Yes,
then.
hopefully not, but yes.
Let's say it's gonna be a year anyways, maybe 2.
Okay, any further discussion? In favor of transfer request number 29, please signify by saying aye. And opposed. Motion carries. I'll sign these for friend for you.
Yes. I remembered to bring it.
Okay. That leads us to reconciliation, number 2D.
So interfunds are all balanced and we are done through February.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's to the updates for the Board of Selectmen.
So I gave you Jason's budget that was submitted today. So you guys have the munis reports and his verbiage that was turned into the town clerk today. Everybody has it at their desk. He will be doing a presentation on next Wednesday at the public hearing. He is at a John Larson something tonight.
Okay. All right. Leads us to Board of Education.
Yes, so we submitted our budget, we submitted 2 ways, so you should have the munis worksheets, but we also provided our budget booklet, which provides a more in-depth narrative as far as one thing I will mention is one difference between the Board of Ed proposed budget versus the superintendent's proposed budget is it did increase some due to increased special ed costs. So when we originally put together the superintendent's budget, I mean, that's really based on projections and needs as we know typically in November. And what you have is some of the changes primarily from families that have moved in with students out of place along with some increased funding for special education. That led to the increase that we have in the proposal. One question I would just have, because realizing that we present to you as the board next week, is there anything in particular that you would like us to focus on, or is there specific information you want to ensure that we include? And of course, I'll ask again as we go into the workshop. I think we are April 1st.
Yes.
So certainly we'll ask again going into that workshop as well.
Well, my question would be is, when you, these special needs come in, does the money follow them in now as part of the state, or does that
No,
happen?
no, you actually, so you lose out to a certain degree, because typically those students that are outplaced that receive their services in a special like program or facility, they qualify for what's excess cost, so you get state reimbursement, but it's not after, it's after like 100,000, and then you get 75%, which is more reduced to 60% now. So for easy numbers, if you have a kids program that costs 200,000, you're basically on the hook for the first 100, and then the next 100, and these are just estimates. You get 60,000 because it's using 60%. So a kids program that costs 200,000, you get about 60,000 kickback from the state. But if you haven't exceeded that 100,000, let's say that student moves out, you're not going to get the reimbursement because they moved before you hit that threshold. Or if you get a student's program who, let's say, moved in now, you're not going to spend that for what's left, but going into next year, you will. So, so the money, if that's what you mean, Tom, the money does not follow them.
It doesn't, I know it wasn't what they were trying to get it to follow the students, but that hasn't gone through yet.
No, so obviously, as you're probably aware, excess costs, special ed costs in general, they've been skyrocketing. It's been heavily discussed in current legislation. So we're hoping that some type of relief comes. There was some immediate relief where they put aside another 40 million to this current fiscal year to better fund excess costs. But that basically just helped the bill. It was a Band-Aid on a significant shortfall this year. Doesn't help for next school year, the following. I mean, what they really need to do is like some other states regulate well, I shouldn't say a lot, but some of our neighboring states will essentially set prices if you're approved special ed program. So if you're a state approved special ed program, you cannot charge more than this in order to qualify as approved, like Massachusetts does that. In Connecticut, programs can charge anything they would like. So perfect example, we got notice about 2 weeks ago. The day charged for the program is I think it was $3.99, and they raised it for next year to $4.75 a day. So obviously that's more than your typical 3 or 4% increase. But in Massachusetts, you wouldn't be able to do that. They set your rates based on your operations costs, your enrollment, and if you do want to increase, you have to go through regulations. And Massachusetts is the only state that does that. Connecticut's having discussions about there, but they're far from there.
I think that the legislation has to really work on this problem.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
And we're not unique. I talked to superintendents. This is a hot topic. No matter what school district you talk to right now.
Any other questions? Sounds good. New business with P and L.
Yep, so I gave you guys where we are right now. At the end of February. And that just lets you know what projects have money in them, what's been transferred in, what's been spent this year, and what's left. And we have a total of $6 million in there right now. But all accounted for, got 26,000 in the unallocated.
Any questions on this analysis? Any others? Any questions? Unfinished business? Listed
I have none.
for comments? Anyone have any? So next, okay. is
Yep.
The.
Public hearing is next Wednesday with 7, with followed by a short budget workshop. The intent to get out by 8 o'clock. The 27th is going to be light too. That's also starts at 7, but we moved the police off there. So it's all really town hall departments.
Police will be playing our high school students.
Yes.
That day in the charity basketball.
There's a charity basketball game, so the police will be paying the students, so. So April 1st, we have Broadbrook Library, Cemetery, Warehouse Point Library, Registrars, Broadbrook Fire, and Board of Ed. And on the 7th, we have all the community services, all the public works, and all of the police. On top of debt, CIP, contingency, possible discussion and possible action on the budget, action on the Board of Broadbrook Fire budget, and discuss and finalize the mailer. So I'm thinking that needs to be split in 2, and I'm thinking April 10th might be an option. I don't know what people's calendars are looking like. Because the next week is the 14th, and George, are you not here both days?
Let's just go to check. I think it's the 7th is the one. Yeah, it is the 7th is the one.
Would you still be out of town for the 10th? That's Thursday.
No, I should be back.
Okay. I don't know. That's my only suggestion, instead of waiting until the 14th, because then that's school vacation week.
A consensus that we can do a finalized budget on April 10th.
Good for me.
Good.
I think it'd be good.
Fine. So we will add one in on April 10th to, if we need to move, someone wants to move a little bit from the 7th up over, or we can use it. just-
I think I'll leave the 3 presentations.
Yeah.
But my thought is all the stuff that's after that, we'll put on the next agenda too. And then what we don't get to, other than those 3 presentations, we'll work on Thursday.
That works.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. That goes to the number 15, which is adjourned.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I do. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Send this out, Bill. Tom and Randy.
Yeah.
7:30. You have 7:29.
No, 7:30. No, my Fitbit already said 7:30. Oh.
Ready.